This is Ira, and welcome to Ocean Liners on Print, where we travel through ocean liner history via my collection of ocean liner memorabilia. In this presentation, we're going to discuss the Clyde-Mallory Line, one of the pioneers of Florida and West Indies cruises from New York.
The ships of the Clyde-Mallory Lines did coastal cruising. The line served Jacksonville, Miami, Charleston, Port-au-Prince, Havana, and Kingston. In this video, we will focus on Clyde-Mallory's New York to Miami and Miami to Havana service. The ships were small, anywhere from 387 to 409 feet, about 6,000 to 8,900 tons. The moving ship you just saw could have been the Iroquois, as it had two funnels, unlike most of the ships of the fleet that had just one funnel. Here is a postcard of the Algonquin, Cherokee, Mohawk, and Seminole. Another postcard of the Cherokee, Seminole, and the Algonquin. New York, Miami, Havana service on Clyde-Mallory Lines. This brochure promotes the service from New York to Havana and Miami as, quote, the distinguished route to America's winter playgrounds, close quote. Miami, quote, luxuriously and swiftly on convenient schedules, Clyde-Mallory steamers take you into the sunshine and outdoor activities of the American Riviera, close quote. Havana, quote, daily service overnight in each direction between Miami and Havana completes a deluxe route between New York and Havana via Miami, close quote. I guess having a separate leg of the trip for Havana in terms of taking another ship gave people more flexibility, but it sounds like that basically people had to go from ship to ship, which maybe by today's standards for Caribbean cruising would not be considered convenient. Quote, famous ships befitting a famous service, close quote. The Shawnee, Algonquin, Cherokee, Mohawk, Seminole, Iroquois, and Evangeline. Quote, a new era of deluxe travel between North and Southern playlands was ushered in with the advent of this new fleet of American coastwise steamers. Modern in every respect and more than meeting the exacting demands of travelers for swift, frequent, and luxurious passage, the Clyde-Mallory fleet met with universal approval and has enjoyed increasing patronage from those who seek to escape from winter into the balmy sunshine of Florida resorts and Cuba's shores, close quote. Quote, Clyde-Mallory Lines afford the only direct route between New York and Miami, combining with rapid transportation, the luxury, novelty, and enjoyment of glorious hours at sea on a magnificent liner, close quote. Quote, many refinements distinguish these steamers: glass-enclosed wide promenades, broad open decks, suites of parlor, sleeping room, and bath. Bedrooms with double or twin beds and private bath. Staterooms with or without private lavatory and shower. Library, sheltered dancing deck, tea room, sun parlor, barber and hairdressing service, orchestra, concerts and dancing. Perfect dining service with individual tables for parties of 2, 3, 4, 6, or 8 persons, close quote. So, when you hear these amenities, it sounds very basic compared to today. However, having suites and having cabins with private lavatories and showers is definitely something to brag about. Here's a picture of a suite. One of the things to keep in mind is on these ships, there was no air conditioning or pool. And while the no air conditioning aspect was something to be taken for granted in the 1920s and 1930s, not to have a pool when you're cruising to Miami from New York, even back then, sounds like that was possibly an issue. Express service between New York and Miami every Wednesday and every Saturday at 3 p.m. And this is a quote. A Clyde-Mallory liner leaves Pier 45, North River, New York, proceeding direct without stop to Miami. The journey down the coast is marked by ever-increasing outdoor activities on deck as the blustery cold of the Northland gives way to the balmy influence of the Gulf Stream and southern sunshine. On the steamer, you will find every luxury and refinement of modern travel. On the steamer, you will find every luxury and refinement of modern travel, exhilarating deck sports and pastimes of the sea absorb your days. Too quickly, it seems, the sight of waving palm trees on the nearing shore announce the ending of a journey that will remain one of the highlights in your recollections of a winter's enjoyment. Close quote. So whoever wrote this brochure definitely was a wordsmith, and really, I think through writing tries to get you to visualize what it's like being on one of these ships and coming from the very cold weather to the gradual improving and tropical-like climate approaching Miami. Overnight service daily between Miami and Havana. A direct overnight service will be maintained during the winter season of 1929 to 1930 between Miami and Havana with the SS Iroquois and the SS Evangeline. And this is all a quote. And then it gives all of the dates here that this service starts in the winter and till when it ends. Overnight service daily between Miami and Havana. Quote, a direct overnight service will be maintained during the winter season of 1929 to 1930 between Miami and Havana with the SS Iroquois and the SS Evangeline. From Miami, 4:30 p.m., December 31st, January 2nd, 4th, 7, 9, 11, and 13, and daily thereafter, arriving in Havana the following morning at 8 o'clock a.m. From Havana, 8 p.m., January 1st, 3rd, 5th, 8th, 10th, 12th, and 14th, and daily thereafter, arriving in Miami 7 o'clock the following morning. This service affords opportunities for attractive all-expense tours from New York to Havana with a day of sightseeing in Miami on both southbound and northbound voyages. The tours are fully described in another folder which will be furnished on request. Here's the booklet, quote, all expense tours to the Southland, close quote, December 1929 to April 1930. Quote, interesting all expense tours, December 29 to April 1930, all inclusive, close quote. The key takeaway from this brochure is that one can make all-inclusive tour arrangements in conjunction with the Clyde-Mallory Line voyage with no hassle. Quote, a factor that deserves your consideration and should have your approval is that all expenses are included in the rates quoted. Accordingly, there is no need to be no guesswork, no doubt as to the cost. Choose the trip that suits your budgetary needs and relieve your mind of further concern, close quote. So this was the time of the start of the Great Depression. So Clyde-Mallory Lines was addressing people's concerns of the time. Quote, included in these rates are transportation on the newest and most magnificent passenger steamers in American coastwise service with comfortable accommodations, all meals and all privileges, use of the lounges, decks, sun parlor, library, tea room, writing room, and all the other luxurious public places, close quote. So these ships in the Clyde-Mallory fleet, most of them were built around 1925, within a couple of years. So at the time of the printing of these brochures, these ships were fairly new. In addition, they are one-class ships. Most ships of the era had multiple classes, meaning that one did not have full run of the ship, and that lower-priced staterooms meant more modest public rooms. On Clyde-Mallory ships, whether you booked a suite or a low-priced cabin without private facilities, you got access to the entire ship, the luxe public rooms, and the same dining menu. And you could say that today about the majority of cruise ships out there, is that whether you get an inside cabin or a deluxe cabin, with the exception of ships that have like a private ship within a ship, you basically have full access to the entire ship, as well as similar dining availabilities. I hope you brought your appetite. Here are some menus from Clyde-Mallory Lines. These two menus were at least 40 years ahead of their time. What do you notice about these menus that makes me say that? Well, neither have a date nor the name of the ship. So chances are these menus were probably reused. This trend started sometime in the 1980s on most ships. The only way to tell the date of these menus is that someone wrote in pencil on the menus. On the luncheon menu, it was August 28th, 1941, and on the dinner menu, it was August 27th, 1941. And what's kind of cute is that on one of these menus, it actually was written down what someone's mother ate and what someone's father ate and what both of them ate. So for lunch, some of the highlights included stuffed eggs, chow chow. Does anybody know what chow chow is? If you do, please put it down in the comment section below. Chicken gumbo, consomme vermicelli, fried panfish, stuffed green pepper with meat sauce. New England boiled dinner. What is a New England boiled dinner? Once again, if anyone knows what that is, please put it down in the comment section below. Veal cutlet, jellied pig's feet, smoked ox tongue, roast shoulder of lamb. So this is lunch, and it seems to be a very extravagant selection. And now for dinner. Mayonnaise of salmon muscovite, mock turtle soup, consomme vermicelli, I guess was left over from lunch, poached fresh sea bass, ramekin of Newburgh lobster, Sammy of duckling casserole, prime ribs of beef, loin of milk-fed beef, cold roast capon. Once again, extravagant selections. Here's a daily program for a voyage on the Seminole on August 27th, 1941. It says AGWI broadcasts. News contained herein is furnished by the Associated Press via McKay Radio. The logo for AGWI, that is the company that owned the Clyde-Mallory Line, Puerto Rico Line, and the Cuba Mail Line. AGWI stands for Atlantic Gulf West Indies. It's interesting that this is typed with an old-fashioned typewriter. Would they call the social directress the same title today? Probably social director. A day at sea with the activities being free dancing class, bingo, tea, cocktail music, a movie. The movie for the day happened to be In the Navy, dancing, and game night. No Cirque du Soleil. Sounds like a great day to lounge on the deck and read a book. On page 2, the stock market quotes. The market closed at 43.4. Wow, what a difference from then till now. And some of the stocks included AGWI, the owner of Clyde-Mallory Lines. And we have some companies that still exist today, and some others that were relics of a bygone era. This includes American Airlines, Bethlehem Steel, Checker Cab, Chrysler, Con Edison, Douglas Aircraft, DuPont, Montgomery Ward, National Biscuit, Pan American Airlines, Pennsylvania Railroad, Standard Oil California, Union Carbide, United Airlines, U.S. Steel, Western Union, Westinghouse, and Woolworth. Look at the baseball results. And this is a quote. Brooklyn, before a crowd of 39,108 fans, the Dodgers and the St. Louis Cardinals divided a doubleheader to break even in their crucial four-game series and leave the Brooklyn a game and a half in front of their tight National League pennant race. Brooklyn won the opener 7-3, but bowed to 3-1 in the nightcap, which was called by darkness in the first half of the ninth inning. Close quote. And now to some world activities in Moscow, smashing through another link in the chain of Leningrad outer defenses. The Germans have captured fortified Novgorod and drive their battle lines to within 35 miles of the main Moscow-Leningrad railway. On the August 28, 1941, AGWI broadcast, the activities limited to treasure hunt, bingo, tea, horse races, dancing, and formal entertainment. Sorry, I guess there's no Blue Man Group. Some news for the day in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Quote, Pennsylvania's outbreak of infantile paralysis, which had claimed 17 lives among 250 victims thus far, close quote. In Moscow, quote, Soviet government has notified Japan to keep hands off all trade between Russia and the United States, close quote. Washington, quote, a regulation issued Wednesday provides that manufacturers must accept orders for war supplies for the United States, Britain, Russia, China, and certain other countries, close quote. Berlin, quote, Adolf Hitler's headquarters reported Wednesday that the 22nd Russian army had been annihilated in a tremendous battle in which the Wehrmacht in the naval area advanced 40 miles, captured the roadhouse and airport town of Veriki, and killed 40,000 Russians and took 30,000 prisoners. Close quote. I love the next one. Quote, due to electrical disturbances and static in the atmosphere, we are unable to receive any further news and therefore must shorten today's AGWI broadcast. Close quote. That sounds scary.
I hope you enjoyed this presentation of the Clyde-Mallory Lines. What did you enjoy most? Chow Chow, sheltered dancing deck, sun parlor, electrical disturbances blocking news broadcasts, all-inclusive tours, the St. Louis Cardinals versus the Brooklyn Dodgers, the stock market closing at 43.4, mock turtle soup, simple activities and entertainment. Please place your comments in the comment box below. Please subscribe to receive more engaging ocean liner content. And thank you from Ocean Liners on Print.